The Food and Drug Administration is looking to shift away from policies dating back decades of having outside experts and panels review new drug applications. These external committees have been used since the 1970s in order to better advise health officials during difficult decisions. And joining us now from Washington is Arthur Allen. He's a senior correspondent for KFF Health News. Arthur, thanks for being with us here. Can you break down what this move actually entails and the implications it could have on new drugs here in the United States?
Yeah, I mean, these committees have met for years. They're always made up mostly of very specialized scientists and clinicians, and they give the FDA an opportunity to, when they're dealing with a drug that has maybe some benefits but also some downsides, gives them an opportunity to bounce off the proposal and the science that they've developed against real experts out in the field. Some of whom are, doctors who, may or may feel differently about a drug than the way it's been presented to FDA. So they've decided to basically move away from having these meetings and just decide everything within FDA. And the way it was explained to me by George Tidmarsh, who's the new head of the drugs division at FDA, was that the public will learn just as much from FDA when they release the letters when they turn down an application, a drug maker's application for a new drug. And the people that I've talked to think it's sort of apples and oranges and don't really understand why they're doing this.
Yeah, speaking of Tidmarsh, the head of the FDA Center for Drug Evaluation Research, he also says they're not needed and calls these kind of commissions redundant. How important are these expert panels in evaluating the safety of these drugs, though, and getting them approved? They seem enormously influential.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're very influential, and they kind of are on the margin. FDA is always going between, the push to have more drugs faster, sooner. That's one area, and then the other push is, make sure drugs are safe. And these advisory panels really occupied that space where you're trying to get a drug out, but you also want to make sure it's safe before you approve it. And they were people who provided really helpful advice. Thumbs up or thumbs down. FDA could always overrule them and often did, although the majority of the times FDA would go the way that the advisory council, the committee, suggested.
All right, Arthur Allen, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your reporting.
Sure. Thank you.